Hey everyone, John Moran here, Solutions 8, and today is going to be another episode where we teach you advanced strategies and show you what we test and what we find. We manage a little over $3 million in ad spend annually, so it's something that we have a lot of experience in this, and so when we make a new discovery, new breakthrough, it's something that we want to share with you. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between last click and first click attribution models for your conversion actions and when it's appropriate to maybe use first click, which is normally not what people choose. Normally we usually choose time decay, data driven, or last click. But there's a case for first click, and I want to share with you one of those cases here because I think that it can help a lot of people that are running either smaller campaigns or fewer campaigns alongside of a brand campaign. So it's a little bit niche, but I want to share with you some amazing results that we found with an existing client. So let's dive right in. So you'll see that this campaign or this account has 4 campaigns: a smart shopping campaign, a branded campaign, or dynamic search ads, and then display remarketing. Now, of the time period between July 23rd and the 31st, we changed the attribution model to first click, and the previous period of the 13th through the 22nd, it was on last click. Now, since people most often choose last click, I wanted to run this test and see what the results would be because this client has a very good brand following. Their brands are, very well known. The repeat business. So a lot of people are going to Google the brand name when they are ready to purchase, but that's not where they found out about the company. That's not where they first initially found them. And so what I did is I changed the last click to first click so I can see, well, where did the interest really come from before they decided to Google the brand name and purchase, or come back and Google the brand name and purchase, or continually Google the brand name and purchase. And it's a big distinction because when you're running a brand campaign, obviously you're protecting your brand from competitors. You're making sure that you have top placement. You can direct it to a specific page on your website. You can have ad copy that is tested rather than just organically ranking and then hoping that ad copy or that listed copy on your organic ranking looks good. With branded, you can really define particular sales or whatever it may be. You can set that ad copy to what is most best performing and then make those changes on your website organically so that they rank organically in the search engine. So running a brand, there's many different reasons. See who else is bidding on your brand name. People that are or companies that are bidding on your brand name, you'll find them in Auction Insights. And so it's always good to run a brand campaign, but it can skew the data. And so here's how we found out the actual data. From the time period of 23rd through the 31st, when we changed it to first click attributed, what you'll notice is that the brand campaign got essentially the same amount of clicks. So 179, got a little bit more actually, 184. Their impressions shot up a lot, 942 to 1545. So they had more impressions, a little bit more clicks. And you see smart shopping here. It's not a true test because we started to add more ad spend to the smart shopping, but what's interesting is the results. So the smart shopping spent more, got 356,000 impressions, 887 clicks, spent $993 in this time period. But what's interesting is you'll see that the cost of the brand campaign did go up with those additional clicks. They spent 20% more, $100 more, which is a fairly large change. But with the more clicks and the more spend, they actually lost what looks like it actually reduced the amount of conversions by 35%. And then the smart shopping had an increase of 499%, 500%. So what actually happened here? This is what took place. Traditionally, when we're running smart shopping, we get 100 and something clicks and 70,000 impressions, and we spend $100 and we'd sell four products and we make $364. So the ROAS was fairly decent at 358. That was only the people that clicked on the ad initially and would purchase. Now, why did 4 go up to 24 and why did brand go from 43 down to 28? Well, when people were clicking on smart shopping, they'd go to the website and they would look at the product. Smart shopping would then remarket to those users continually. And then when they're ready to buy, they would simply just Google the brand name and buy. And that's why we had all of our purchases here. But when we restructured the attribution model to say first click, what we found out is that when attributing to the first campaign that drove the interest, smart shopping had a lot more. And a lot less, probably 43 of them, 28 out of that 43 were new. or sorry, 28 out of the 43 were repeat, but there's still an additional 15 that were new, that were being attributed just to the brand campaign and not properly attributed to the Smart Shopping campaign. So when you look at the first click, it means the first click to the person's website. Where did it come from? What campaign? Well, that's nice. That tells us a lot. That tells us that that campaign is working. But when we look at only last click, it's like, well, it just looks like people are just Googling the brand name a bunch. How do you have the same amount of clicks, though, and you spend more and actually have more clicks and more impressions and less sales? Well, the same thing is still happening. We're just measuring it differently. We're having more impressions and more clicks from Smart Shopping, which means more searches and more clicks on the brand when they come back to buy. They probably came through the brand campaign and actually purchased, but the allocation of the conversions were properly attributed to the campaign that generated the interest in the first click to the website. So what does this teach us? This teaches us that when you're running multiple outbound and inbound campaigns, you could very easily mistake a campaign for not really doing much because you're attributing it to only what the person last did before they buy, which is Googling the brand name, a very common occurrence. Whenever you want to go buy something that you've heard about, you Google the brand name. That's kind of how it happens. But how did you hear about that? This measures how did you hear about it, or how did you find out, or how did you see it, or where did you come from? And so when you properly attribute that campaign's performance to where the interest gathering is, now this campaign is actually pretty viable. Now, we only have a 200% return on ad spend, but you see the branded dropped by 54% return on ad spend, combining to be a 364% return on ad spend. Spend $1 in Google Ads, get $3.64 back. This is brand new, and now 200% return on ad spend is good. You know, you're probably kind of close to not really making any money, but that's only the initial value of that new customer. What happens when they become repeat customers? What's the lifetime value? This client has a good lifetime value, a very, very good lifetime value. So to make double our money for acquiring a new client, not that bad. So and then obviously we scaled, so that's why our ROAS drops. But as this starts to kind of catch up, and that time lag is starting to normalize, and this probably will normalize around a 300% return on ad spend, we're going to probably end up around, over 425. So making 4 times our money back while gaining new clients, new purchasers of the product, and that lifetime value will exponentially, outpace the 4x that we initially got. So making 4 times the money back right off the bat, not too bad. Making sure that those people are continually purchasing from us with remarketing, Smart Shopping, and brand campaigns running so we can measure it is going to be good. So where is this applicable? Where is this good? First click campaigns. Sorry, there we go. First click attributed conversion action models work great when you don't have a lot of multi-campaign touch points. If you have a display ad that runs and then a YouTube remarketing and then someone did a brand search, time decay. Make sure that you're splitting those conversions equally to make sure that each one of them are working. If you have 3 search campaigns, a brand, a remarketing, and you find that your conversions are being multi-touch point, they're having at least 2 searches, a 1 remarketing and a brand, time decay wins. If you have a heavy outbound and a simple brand campaign, use first click. If you have multiple outbound campaigns and a brand, use first click, because that will tell you which one has the most amount of actual interest gathering conversions. Because if you shut those off when you're not properly attributing those conversions, you end up with simply a campaign that just looks bad. But when you shut that campaign off, your brand starts to die. And you're like, well, why is my brand starting to die? It used to perform really, really well. You stop feeding it from those other campaigns. You stop measuring it. So hopefully this tip was good for you. And this is a good case study between first click and last click attribution and when you should use it, and some examples as to how you can use it for your campaigns. Thanks so much.